Like my dad wasn't around.
Poor Patrick has been bottling up these emotions for years. It feels like this trip to Brazil, his friends and family constantly butting heads, has suddenly caused the dam to burst. But, you know who else could benefit from a little bit of Patrick's emotional sensitivity? Well, pageant coach and manager extraordinaire, Gino.
You know, could use improvement and, you know, I mean, it's not good.
Are you serious?
Yikes, turn it down a bit, Gino. You're not actually a coach. But before we get to Gino and his peculiar ways, let's start this recap with Patrick and Thais, who the last we saw were at odds, were clashing after her friend's aggressive antics. Yeah, it all got a little bit tense. It certainly wasn't the fun, relaxing night out that they'd been hoping for. So when we catch up with them in this episode, Patrick and Thais have taken some time away, just the two of them, to go on a date night.
My friends met Alicia today.
Oh yeah? How'd that
Carol,
go?
Natalia, Gabi.
You guys talk about John?
Yeah, of course. Natalia, she was just being protective.
Now, Thais is still vehemently defending her friend Natalia's behaviour, even though she definitely appeared to be the one that instigated and started the fight. But when Patrick tries to defend John, Thais immediately jumps down his throat. She tells him all he ever does is defend his family. He always puts his brother and dad before her, she claims. Now, the thing is with that, even if it were to be true, which it's not, but even if it were to be true, Thais is still benefiting from the arrangement. I mean, at least she has a base, an apartment in Brazil. Like, don't get me wrong, not to be funny, but what's Thais's dad ever done for them?
And my dad never asked us for nothing.
But I mean, at the same time too, like, your dad hasn't given us anything. What's your dad done for our relationship other than cause problems?
Yeah, I'm so glad Patrick said this, because it's true. Look, neither of their dads are perfect, right? But Thais has been acting like Patrick's dad is the worst human on the face of the earth. But, like it or not, Thais, the reality is, your dad has been a thorn in the side of your marriage for the entirety of your marriage, for as long as you've been together. Now, all of this critique of his dad has got Patrick feeling quite emotional. You see, all he's ever wanted is a close relationship with Jose.
Like my dad wasn't around.
Patrick gets overwhelmed talking about his dad. There's obviously so much emotion there that he's kept bottled up for a very long time. Now, as he starts to cry, Thais also begins tearing up. You see, she's never seen her husband like this. She's extremely concerned that something isn't right. And after trying to console and comfort Patrick, he begins to open up to her. He begins telling her how little he actually saw his dad while he was growing up.
I'd be lucky to see my dad once a year. Most of the time it was at a motel because he was on the road and he was a truck driver, and it'd be like for a day or two.
Thais seems shocked by what she's hearing. She's acting like this is news for her, like she's never heard it before. The thing is, Patrick swears he has told her, but maybe he concedes, maybe it was when we first started dating. Maybe my Portuguese was just really bad at that point. He actually goes on to say that that first trip when he first met Thais was a trip that was intended to help him and his dad reconnect. I hadn't seen my dad in over 5 years at that point, he tells Thais.
Having that apartment was the start of like my dad coming back into my life.
Yeah, I mean, that was obvious for all to see, wasn't it? Thais and John have always known that Patrick was holding on to that apartment for sentimental reasons. It's just that I don't think either fully appreciated or realised just how symbolic the apartment had become for Patrick. It's not just a rental apartment anymore. It's not just him helping out his dad. It's taken on a far deeper meaning. It's almost a symbol of the new reconnection that Patrick and Jose have. Something that now means even more to him given that his mum has only recently passed. And now that Patrick has finally vocalised this to Thais, now that he's explained to her he doesn't just want to throw that away just to save a couple of $100 a year, suddenly Thais is far more understanding.
Now that I understand why you want to have the apartment, I can't take this from you. Because, like, love you.
Thais is grateful that Patrick's expressed his emotions like this. She urges him to please open up to her more often. These kind of intimate moments will indeed help to make their marriage stronger. But she also has something that she asks for in return. Seeing as we're talking about dads, she says, I want you to make more of an effort with my dad.
But I want you to do something for me too. I want you to bond with my dad and ask him for the blessing.
Okay, says Patrick, I can do that for you. But, if I'm gonna get along with Carlos, then I want you to start getting along with John. I mean, funnily enough, up until the drink throwing incident, they did seem to be getting along much, much better. Who knows, maybe in time she might learn to love him. She might realise that they actually have a lot more in common than they might realise. Now, in the meantime, let's check in on Gino and Jasmine. You see, today is the big day. Jasmine is getting ready for her big beauty pageant contest.
I'm getting ready for the first competition of the beauty pageant, the bathing suit competition. And I'm very excited because I look beautiful. I feel beautiful.
Look, these two fighting about Gino's attempts to give constructive criticism certainly isn't something new. Jasmine's told him already that she doesn't want to hear it. She just wants unconditional support from him. But the thing is, Gino can't seem to wrap his head around these quite simple instructions.
I didn't see you roll your shoulders or do posturing. That's
From 1 to 10. From 1 to 10.
You mean I have to rate it?
Yes.
I'm not very good at rating.
So I'm not a 10.
Just say 10, Gino. Just make your life easy for once. Look, you're not a real judge. Your job here is to act as a cheerleader. Say 10 and let her feel confident. But he can't do it, can he? And Jasmine once again tells Gino he needs to learn how to be supportive. All he's doing at the moment is putting her down. And as Gino mulls over this, when we catch up with them shortly after, the big moment has finally come. Jasmine is up on stage strutting her stuff. Did anyone else catch that? It seems there might have been a very slight editing mistake. Look at this, when Jasmine first starts her catwalk, there's some sort of white fabric on her shoulder. But seconds later, as she's pulling her poses, that fabric seems to have disappeared. Now, look what happens when she's walking off stage. Somehow, magically, it's back again. Yeah, I wonder how many takes that took. Slight editing mistake, I think. Now, people were very angry at me last week when I pointed out just how fake this storyline is, so I'm going to move swiftly past that and point out that Jasmine did appear to be putting her all into this. It's just that her husband hasn't quite got the memo. Yeah, rather than supporting her, rather than praising her efforts, instead, he's got some very harsh critique to give her.
You know, could use improvement and, you know, I mean, it's not good.
Are you serious?
Ouch! Gino, what the heck? come on, just play along. What's most surprising about this is how Jasmine actually manages to stay calm. Yeah, it really must be taking all of her self-restraint not to blow up when getting catwalk advice from a man like Gino. Like just imagine how hard it must be to bite your tongue when a man like Gino is telling you that you're yeah, the audacity of the man is unbelievable. But as the pair head back to their hotel room to get ready for the next round, it's at this point that Jasmine finally lets loose, and she's got quite a bit to get off her chest.
I have not felt positive reinforcement from you. So I decided that you are uninvited to the rehearsals.
Uninvited?
Gino's outraged. He just can't seem to understand why his wife doesn't want his amazing advice. He seems to think she won't be able to win without him. It's hilarious. I mean, the man who nearly once kind of maybe entered a pageant like 30 years ago now seems to think his opinion is invaluable. But, newsflash, sorry Gino, it isn't.
Don't be my coach, be my husband. Be part of the audience.
I didn't expect that. You know, that just doesn't make sense to me, like...
And a visibly upset and sad Gino says that Jasmine's choice makes him feel like his wife doesn't want him around anymore. Yeah, ding ding ding, finally Gino, finally you've got it, you understand. If you're gonna be negative and annoying, yeah, she doesn't want you around. Now, from that bombshell realisation, let's jump over to Emily and Kobe. Everyone's on tenterhooks, everyone's nervously waiting to see what best man Valerie will have to say about Emily in his speech. Will he finally be able to give them his blessing?
You have shown us that despite everything, you can take care of your husband.
Thank you.
And today, Kobe have shown us that it's not you being a black or a white.
Valerie says it's not about skin colour, it's about love. And that really seems to be a big milestone moment for this guy. Remember, this is the guy that this entire season has been harping on about how Emily isn't African. Yeah, maybe he now finally gets it. Maybe he finally understands that love transcends everything. But, sadly, just when you thought Valerie's stance may have actually changed, Valerie says this.
I have to at least consider that things may turn out to be good. But I think now it doesn't stop me to be checking to make sure that his decision was a perfect one.
Valerie, mate, it's not your job. This attitude that he has that things may turn out good, even though they're clearly in love, they're happily married and have kids, is a joke. And as for his threat that he's always going to be checking, it's just way too much. Emily will never be able to make this man happy. But fortunately, she doesn't need to. She doesn't have to, because the only person that really matters is her husband. And now, under Cameroonian customs, Cameroonian law, these two are now officially married.
People are welcome, and may your marriage live long till death do us part.
Kobe's on top of the world. He's thrilled that his family at least, and he thinks his friends too, have fully accepted Emily. He loves and appreciates the fact that Emily has embraced his culture. He says he'll cherish these memories forever, and Emily is also equally excited.
It feels so good to have the approval that I had been wanting coming to Cameroon. His friends approve, his family approves, and now I'm officially his Cameroonian wife.
Now, we leave them partying the night away, having the time of their lives, and when we join them the next morning, sadly, their trip to Africa has come to an end. Today, they're all off to Kobe's dad's house to say their final goodbyes and to hand out some gifts. You see, now that he has an American daughter-in-law, Emily has decided it's only fitting that she presents him with some clothes and shoes to make him seem more like an American dad. And it's all very cute.
I introduce you, American Grandpa!
Honestly, Kobe's family seem like so much fun. Emily says that looking at Kobe's dad dressed like an American dad gives her flashes into the future of what Kobe might look like one day. It's a funny, cute moment, again, to be cherished by all. But, unfortunately, the time has now come for everyone to say their goodbyes, and Kobe in particular starts to get quite emotional at the prospect that he doesn't know when he'll be able to come back to see them all again.
It's really sad right now because, you know, I'm leaving Cameroon not knowing when I'm going to be back. It's always hard to leave family.
This is quite tough to watch. You can really sense and feel Kobe's pain as he's saying goodbye to his family. Like, the love that they all share is clearly palpable. It's really pure and genuine. It's really nice to watch. But it does raise a very interesting question. For as nice as this trip to Cameroon has been, for as much as they've managed to achieve, has this trip made Kobe feel more homesick than he thought it would? Can he really stay apart from his friends and family in Cameroon long term? Because the way that he's now talking, it sounds like this issue may pop up sooner rather than later.
I'll always hope to return home as soon as possible whenever the chance. I'll always hope to return home. Yeah.